This Brazilian fitness influencer who has over 5 million followers is currently being accused of providing chemical resources for the production of over 1.5 tons of crack. Now, is this true? Is Renato Cariani really the Brazilian Heisenberg? Or is the media trying to gain some clout? Now, before we make assumptions about this case, let's take a quick look how this case started. In 2016, a cocaine and crack producer was caught by the police. When they asked him where did he get the chemicals to produce them, he claimed to have gotten them from Unravel. Don't worry, we'll be coming back to this drug producer as he's one of the pillars of this investigation. Years after that, in 2022, a multinational pharmaceutical company, which we'll call them X, told the federal police that they had been notified by the Receita Federal, which is basically the Brazilian IRS, that there were invoices payments made in cash that were not declared. This might sound confusing, but basically X was notified by the Brazilian IRS that there was income that was not declared. And then X said that they never received any sort of those payments and those invoices were not theirs. Later down the line, they found out that X had a cloning of his company. With this information, the federal police started investigating these invoices and arrived at 3 different pharmaceutical companies: AstraZeneca, which we'll be calling A, LBS, and Unravel, which we'll be calling B. After a few months with this new information, the police was authorized to search 18 different suspect homes to find proof. These searches were just made recently, and now we are waiting for the trial to get the final answer. So now you have an understanding of what is going on in this case, how it started, and where it's sitting at. And now you might be wondering, how does this tie to this fitness influencer Renato Cariani? So Renato Cariani actually has a degree in chemical engineering. So even before he became a fitness influencer, he was already a pharmaceutical owner. He produced and distributed pharmaceuticals. And Renato Cariani is actually a co-owner of Company B. So this was the main lead that allowed the police to search his house. As soon as the search happened, the Brazilian media went berserker, making all sorts of claims about Renato, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to use them to catch your attention in the beginning of the video. Let's start with a big one. So this crack and cocaine producer mentioned earlier that had acquired his products from Company B is one of the pillars of this investigation. As you can tell, it's a very foundational proof. You look at it right now and it seems like, wow, and this is undeniable proof. So Renato actually came forth in his social media to explain how this evidence is a bit misleading. He explains that his company is B2B, so basically he only sells from company to company, meaning that for this individual to have taken the Tricolor Chileno from Company B, he would have to be a truck driver or a higher upper in the company to be picking that up. Therefore, it takes away all the blame from the company because they were only selling legally to another company. Therefore, Company B, in theory, is not liable for the misuse of the product, as it seems like it was this individual who was acting in malicious form. And on top of that, believe it or not, in Brazil, Tricolor Chileno is not a controlled substance. Therefore, anyone in Brazil could go to a pharmaceutical company and buy it today, which is absolutely crazy, but also makes so that Company B is not liable for it. Now, this one is a very interesting one. Some of his WhatsApp conversations from 2014 with the other co-owner of the company were leaked. So I'm gonna read through those so you guys have an idea of what these messages say. Thanks God this week is short. We can work on the holidays to organize the house and run away from the police. And the other 3 messages are just other parts about organizing the pharmaceutical company, and then the last message says, let's clean up everything and wait for these worms. If you read it blindly, it does seem like they're trying to hide something. So of course Renato Cariani came forth to explain what these WhatsApp conversations really mean. So he explains that running from the police is actually running from fiscalization. In Brazil, you need an ambient license to run a chemical company. What he means by run from the police is that he simply wants to avoid losing the rights of his company, because if anything is off, they can lose his license. Losing his license, he cannot produce any more chemicals. So now this is another big one. So as you guys are seeing this image of Renato having lunch with another person, this person is called Fabio. Fabio would be a representative of a company that would be sending the resources for this quote-unquote crack production. So this picture on the screen is what the media is calling proof to make a connection between Renato and Fabio. Later on, we also received other leaks from the media saying that Renato has transferred 70,000 reais to Fabio making it not only a personal connection but also a financial connection between the two. Now at this point, this also seems like a substantial proof against Renato. So then Renato came forth again to explain this quote-unquote proof, and he explains that his relationship with Fabio is for the car dealership because Fabio owns a car dealership. So Renato explains that his relationship with Fabio is strictly with his personal cars and the company's car. And he also explained that the 70,000 reais was not even transferred directly from him. Mauricio is Renato's cameraman. So basically Mauricio wanted to buy a car, Renato gave him 70,000 reais. Mauricio transferred this money to Fabio's company. The media made it seem that it was a direct transfer between Renato and Fabio. But from what Renato explains, this might not be the case. And I'm only going to give you guys one more proof that the media is showcasing, because I think all the other ones are not as strong and not as valid. Most of them are just cash grabs and clickbaits. But these are the invoices, which was the main reason why the police even got search warrants to search their homes. In this investigation, there were about 60 missing invoices in the past 6 years. This adds to the story, as this could be how he embezzled money to fund the quote-unquote crack operation, which makes him really look like a Brazilian Heisenberg. So Renato came forth and explains that mathematically speaking, 60 invoices in the past 6 years is basically symbolic. He goes forth to showcase that his company has emitted at least 60,000 invoices in the last 6 years, making 60 a very small fraction of the total value. So there are many other quote-unquote proofs going out in Brazilian media and Brazilian TV news, but these three, in my opinion, are the strongest ones that could make a case against Renato. Also, we do not have any access to private information because the trial hasn't happened yet, so we have no idea what the lawyers are going to showcase against Renato in the day of trial. My goal here is to remain impartial. From what I have read based on the proofs and based on Renato's explanation, it seems as if Renato is not involved in any drug production crisis. Now, what we have to do is wait for a trial. Making assumptions for better or worse do not help the case. The law will do its job, and once it's done, we will know the truth. Disclaimer: I do not have access to any private information. My goal here is simply to inform. Do not make assumptions. Wait for the trial. I do not wish to hinder Renato's image. Once the resolution of the case comes out, we will know the truth. This was the lore of Renato Cariani. If you're interested in more lores, check this one out.